And welcome back into OpenLine. If you're just stopping by with us right now, we're glad that you're here. This is a great half hour to be with us because we are talking about your legal questions. Any of those legal questions that you have, you can call us about at 737-7587 with the expert himself, the legal mastermind, Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. And again, any question legally, just go ahead and give us a call on. Right now, we are going to go back to the lines with us. Kathleen is on the line now. Kathleen, good evening. We're glad that you're joining us on OpenLine. What's your question for Kevin?
Yeah, go right ahead, Kathleen.
Yes.
And Kathleen, you might turn your television down. That will help with that feedback when you're on the call with us.
Yes, my husband is hard of hearing.
Yeah,
I see.
I've got excellent and he's got poor.
Okay.
What can we do for you, Kathleen?
Okay. I have a child that's in prison, and after he got in there, we found out that the preacher did not tell the truth about it. And later on, he did own up to telling that the boys did not have anything to do with the murder that happened.
Okay.
And he notarized a statement saying that they did not do that.
Okay.
And I do have the notarized statement here in a safe that he notarized.
Okay. Well, here's what I would suggest to you. You know, obviously, I'd go see a criminal lawyer and talk to them. If you have resources to hire a lawyer, the sooner the better. Hire them and let them file their motions to try to set aside this conviction. They call that post-conviction relief. And if I didn't have the resources, I would start going on the internet or have a friend go on the internet and find some of these that are state funded or privately funded. One of the lawyers that worked for me, he spent 14 years on the Innocence Project. And of course, they spend their whole life trying to get innocent people out of prison. And so when he's had several successes, and he's a great lawyer, but you know, we know that there are some innocent people that have been convicted. And we know that there are some injustice. So there are organizations, if you could talk them into trying to get your case, that they could file this post-conviction relief and try to get him out.
Okay, great advice. So Kathleen, thanks so much. We're glad that you called in this evening. Hey, Kevin, of course, there's a lot of high-profile cases that are in the media today.
Yes.
I mean, and one comes to mind, of course, you can't turn the television on without seeing the Johnny Depp Amber Heard.
We know it's true.
Right.
Well, quite frankly, you know, the girls in my office, I can't get them working because they're all there. They're watching. Oh, my goodness. And so I go to court, come back, go to court, come back. I said, well, what's the briefing? And, you know, they're saying public opinion is going against Amber.
Right.
The public opinion. Well, that's kind of indicative of what the jury is feeling. And they said, well, we've caught these lies. We've caught inconsistencies. Her credibility has been destroyed. Well, those are all legitimate arguments that lawyers do. And of course, you know, Johnny Depp, there's $100 million on one side, $50 million on the other. That's high risk. And quite frankly, if the allegations that they have made are true, they need some justice. I mean, it could ruin your career. You lose your movie deal, you lose your statue. Well, that's not fair out of malicious behavior. So we need some justice. So quite frankly, it's going to take a long time for them to get to the jury. And, you know, we hear speculation. They say, well, I don't think he's right. I don't think we're not going to give any money to anybody. And we all thought that's a possibility even as it goes through. So the real world is you watch, you look at them, you evaluate their eye contact, their body language. One thing about the American public, we all cannot stand a liar. And when we see one and we're convinced that they've told a lie, there's an old Latin maximum, and it calls falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus. And what it means is if you'll lie about one thing, we can't believe you about anything. Sounds like my closing argument. Let me go, Chuck. I want
You're
to
ready
the
for
jury.
that one.
Oh, boy.
Well, what about, because I've heard that one of them, I don't know if it's Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, but one of them, they said, looks at the jury more than the other one. And sometimes, though, that can backfire against you.
Sure.
Because they think you're really trying to put something over the jury by continuing to look at them. Is that
You're
possible?
trying to sell, you know, in my jury trial wins, I had a lot of lawyers over the years. How did you win this? How did you win this? And quite frankly, I always had a chemistry with my jurors. I legitimately cared about my client. That's the gospel truth. And they knew it. And I could connect, I could make eye contact. And so my voir dire, what does that mean? That's when we pick the jury. If I had one that wouldn't make eye contact with me, look down, offense if a question I asked, then we would use a peremptory challenge and ask that one to be off. We have the right to do that. And so who wants somebody that absolutely hates you, despises you, doesn't want it? They will not give you a fair jury hearing. But on the other hand, if you're there and I'm there and we're talking the same language, we want truth and justice, and you're going with me, I want you on that jury. One of the other things we do as lawyers, we try to figure out who's the dominant personalities. Because if a dominant personality has a background that would be against us, we ask to have that one moved. We try to use our challenge for causes. And that's why they ask. In this case, they went a long time. And in some of my big cases, we go a very long time. And we get the right jury, hey, we've got a fighting chance. If we get the wrong jury, we're shot down. We can fight for days, but it still won't work.
Well, and obviously they're famous, so there's more interest in watching them and watching this court case. But for someone out there who might be going through a situation of abuse or something like that, what do you advise them to do? I mean, do you literally need to take pictures of yourself if you've been abused, that kind of thing?
Yeah, because that's the question. And, now they're saying, well, some of these things were fake bruises, and they put makeup to cover it, and then when you take the makeup off, you also took the bruise off. Wow. So again, it goes back to that basic, we've got to tell the truth. The American judicial system will only work when you, the truth will set you free. That's the Bible. And so when we catch a lie, man, you can't believe them. So that's why we have cross-examination. They say no man can say the same lie twice the same way. And then that's why the lawyers always say, that question has been asked and answered. I object. And then when they're making so much headway, Chuck, we'll object. Objection, Your Honor. We got to break that momentum. That's the skill of a lawyer. And then we'll make a hearsay argument. And sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. We move on, but we broke that momentum. I understand when momentum's with me. I understand when I break their momentum.
Well, and watching this case too, I keep thinking of all these questions that go through my mind as I'm watching, but would it be admissible if during a situation like this, if you just turned on your recorder and you recorded an argument, a misunderstanding that might escalate a little bit later, are you able to use that?
Okay, in the state of Tennessee, one person, if you're going to threaten me, I have a right to tape record. Not in every state. So, hello, come in. That's a delicate dance. But in the state of Tennessee, you could do that. And quite frankly, that is evidence to be used to get. That's why the insurance companies are doing, because they know people will say things. And when you're in your home, there's a certain amount of privacy. You feel like, well, I can say anything I want to. Remember, your words will be used against you. So, and if I saw that, it's better to walk away. And it's certainly better than to blow up, throw something, and you'll do something that you will regret.
When you also have a situation like that, and you were talking about, I was asking about recording something. If you, for example, and this pops into my mind when you see people in just little traffic stops, things like that. Someone, an officer is talking to that person that they pulled over. Can you pull out your phone without just saying, I'm going to record this, and just start recording it?
Sure. And the real world is people run those tapes. We see them on CNN, Fox News, Channel 5, where they're running the tape. And so much we would not believe if we didn't see it. And I was at the National Trial Lawyers Conference training the best legal minds from the best legal minds. They said in our brain, what we see is more convincing than what we hear. We could hear it, but our minds do a different kind of posture of belief when we see it. That's why they say an eyewitness is the best witness. When I met with F. Lee Bailey, he defended O.J. Simpson. He was an elder man several years ago. I said, F. Lee, tell me something to take back to Tennessee. We were in Miami. He said, Kevin, look them right in the eye. Look the witness right in the eye. You'll find the truth in their eyes. Great technique. I share it with you tonight. I spent a fortune to go down there to see F. Lee Bailey, and I just gave it all away. But they say it's better. You should learn your craft well and give it away for the rest of your life. And, it comes back to a premise, you'll reap what you sow. So if you sow knowledge, you'll reap it. you sow mercy, generosity, kindness. I believe, Chuck, in your hour of need, you will reap it.
Well, and
You
I
can't
love the advice that you share on this show, and I know a lot of people benefit from it. If you are just tuning in, I want to encourage you, we don't have a lot of time left, but make sure that you do give us a call if you have a legal question. It can be on anything from estate planning to having to battle it out with the insurance companies, from getting a traffic stop and not knowing exactly what your rights are. Number 737-7587. Now, Kevin, let me ask you too, when I'm talking about, like, if you are pulled over in a traffic situation and you take your phone out, do you need to ask the officer if you can record it, or can you just start recording?
You can just start recording. And you know, I have people come to me all the time, they pull us over. There's nothing wrong with asking the officer. What I like to be is always respectful, be kind. You can ask the officer, why am I being pulled over? Why do I ask that question? Because he may tell you something that you could use in your defense. I always tell people, don't admit anything, because they have recorders, they have video and audio. That's part of why the system is not so fair, because we're not equipped with all this. We haven't had years of training, months of training, so they use that to their advantage. That's why you're listening to Ask the Attorney tonight. Learn and tell. So I would not admit anything. You'd ask the question, why am I being pulled over? But you'll watch there. They're always asking the questions. Jesus, the greatest teacher, he would ask a question. When they ask him, he would ask, who's the greatest among you? Is the servant of all. He is without sin. You cast the first stone. All that is really great. And so I'm teaching you not to go forward and just admit all. In a car accident, don't admit it. If you're pulled over, you don't admit it. You can deal with it, and then you allow your lawyer to try to get you out of the situation. You know, they have to prove you beyond a reasonable doubt. They've got radar, they've got recorders. We don't have those things. That's why you have a brain.
So, and the old saying, loose lips sink ships. I mean, they truly can.
They always will. With any situation that we're in, you're my star student, Chuck. I could go back. I said, well, hit him one time about the lips. Chuck would say, loose lips sink ships. We can't. They say 90% of the people in the penitentiary right now are there because they talked. And if you just exercise your constitutional right to counsel, they have to stop asking you questions. And if they kept on asking you, remember, some police, there's the rules, but they'll just break the rules. Then if you did utter a statement, your lawyer could file to suppress that, because it's fruit of the poisonous tree. What does that mean? If I said, I want my constitutional right. Yeah, Kevin, you got him, but now, were you at the party? Did you see this? Did you see that? And if I answered, then we got a great case to suppress that evidence. I don't like to play that game. I'm just going to stand, I got a right, and that's it. They've probably already made the decision they're going to charge you. But charging and convicting are clearly two different things.
Okay, let's go to the lines right now. Gerald is on the line with us. Gerald, good evening. We're glad that you called in. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, I do. My question is, I was injured in a car wreck, and the insurance company the law firm that represent me.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, and my question is, the law firm that represent me made a decision about what would have been best for me, and when they did it, they also told me that I would be guaranteed additional knee surgery, but they never gave me a phone number of anyone to contact. And each time I called the firm back, because they said a lawyer to represent me has passed away, but the law firm is turning me down. Nobody's telling me nothing, and it has caused me to lose my job and everything else in my life. And I was even told when I got hit, two of the employees, the vice president and another gentleman, came and told me I did not need to be checked out. And I had 7 knee surgeries on one knee, nothing on the other, and my body is still in dramatic pain today.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear that situation. Here's the advice to everyone. If you get you a lawyer, you need to be able to talk to your lawyer. If they are avoiding you, then you always have a right to change lawyers. You can say, I want to pick up my file and release you. So they can do that. The real world is you should always be in communication. Remember, I'm a lawyer. I have to do what my client tells me. I can't do things without my client giving me the authority to do that. So If there's a misunderstanding and people are having too many misunderstandings, I try to regroup. They used to ask this question, what would you rather have, an old lawyer that has no time or a young lawyer that has no experience? Here's the Kevin Kennedy. I'd hire the lawyer I could trust. And if you can trust him, he'll do his best. I do believe that, and I'll stand on that till we meet him. But find the man you can trust. Have that kind of chemistry.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in, Gerald. We need to take a short break right now, but we'll be back with more Open Line right after this. Come on back with us.